There was a master and a disciple that had gone for a walk. It was on a beautiful sunny day. The master and the disciple had just finished their meditation. So the master and the disciple are walking, and all of a sudden the master looks up, and then he goes to his disciple, "Stop for a second, I want you to look up. Look up there and tell me what you see." So the disciple looks up and he sees 3 birds. The first bird was in the front, the second bird was in the middle, and the third bird was last. They were all following each other. So the master says to the disciple, "Do you know what that means?" So the disciple said, "No, master, I do not. Please explain it to me." So the master said, "Okay, pay attention to what I'm saying because this applies to you." The first bird represents an enlightened soul, an awakened soul. The second bird represents this planet. And the third bird represents people on this planet that are constantly chasing the world. So the first bird represents an enlightened soul. The second bird represents this world, this planet. And the third bird represents all the people living on this planet that are chasing the world. So then the master looks at the disciple and he says, "This world, this planet is constantly chasing the enlightened soul. But it can never catch up to it. It always remains behind it. No matter how fast and how much the second bird tries, it will never be able to catch up to the first bird." So the enlightened soul and the awakened soul is free. It can go wherever it wants to. It's not chasing anything. It's not binded by anything. It's not bound by anything. It has no goals. It has no desires. It can go wherever it wants. The world is constantly trying to become like the enlightened soul, but it can never catch up to the enlightened soul. It will always be behind it. The third bird, which represents all the people in the world, they're constantly chasing the second bird, meaning the material world, the planet, with all its pleasures and all its wealth and all the desires and all the indulgence. So the third bird always remains last. No matter how much it tries to catch up to the world, it can never catch up to it. And then the master turns to the disciple and says, "Become like the first bird." And then he says, "Become like me. Become free of the material world. Become free of your desires. You should only have one goal, and that is spiritual freedom." And then the disciple said to the master, "There's a lot of wisdom in what you're teaching me. Not only am I going to follow what you're saying, but I'm going to try to teach this message, this wisdom that you shared with me. I'm going to try to share it with everyone else. Because in very simple words, you've actually explained the entire philosophy of this world and reaching enlightenment." And then the master and the disciple continued to walk in silence.